So anyway, yeah, I was talking about my book. We are doing a high level of chapter 1 of my book, which is all
Okay.
about mindset. Because everything that we do in life always starts with mindset.
Right.
We can't do like our health. We got to get our mindset right.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that we do, anything that we do that is hard, we have to have the right mindset. And then
Yep.
chapter 2 of my book is about our vision and our purpose and our mission. But I'm a business coach and I'm actually a transitional coach. So I help people transition their life and their business because I'm really big mission. There's more than two things, right? My husband also had my sister-in-law was murdered and his only sister was murdered and his 3-year-old niece. I lost my brother in the Pentagon 9/11. I almost died 5 years ago. So many things in life happen, right? And I
Right.
don't know about you, but I never ever. Oh, this is Patrick. This is Pat. Good morning, Pat. Good to see you. Hopefully you can chat if you can't talk. So that's good. Anyway, back to so I have been, like I told you, doing coaching and consulting for about 24 years. I've
Right.
done some kind of form of programming and all that kind of stuff, business stuff I have over, I don't know, I hate to sound old, but I have over 27 years of, right?
That's
Whatever,
awesome.
probably closer to 30. So I've used it all. But as I was working with people, I realized that we let our businesses own us and we don't
Right.
own them. And life's so short. So
Right.
chapter 2 is all about making sure that you have your vision, your purpose, and your mission, but not only in your business, but in your life. And are
Right.
they aligned? And what I
Yeah.
say about chapter 2 is I say, when I'm running my life right, which by the way, Debbie, I'm not perfect. Don't tell my husband. I always tell him I'm perfect. He's not. No, I've been married to love my life for almost 29 years and I have 4 children. They are 32, 25, almost 24 and 21. And so they're adult children. 3 of the 4 are married and I have 1 grandson and he just turned 2. So that's a little
Oh,
bit about me. But in learning all of this, right? The vision, purpose, and mission in my life. First of all, my mission is to make a difference in others, right? That's my mission in life. And
right.
I help you, I help, my company helps people create the life and business that they love. See how
Right.
those are aligned? And then
Yeah.
when I do that, even when I do that, when I'm having a good day and I do my day right, which I don't because I'm not perfect, I put God first. I put my family, even my
Yes.
friends can come a little bit sometimes before my business, because why I do my business is important. And what I do is very important. And I have a huge passion for it, if you can't tell. And I
Right.
love what I do. But why I do it, right, is part of my family and for God. And so if I'm not doing my life, so that's what we talk about in chapter 2. And then chapter 3, like I said, those 6 areas: spirituality, our health, personal development, our relationships. Like I said, I used to say family, but not everybody has family, but they all
Right.
have relationships. And then we
Uh-huh.
talk about our health, our finances, our business. So if all those are not, and can we really have balance all the time? No.
No, not really, but
But if we don't have a plan, we plan to fail. So I
right.
have people put 3 goals and 3 habits in each of those areas of their life. And then
Okay.
chapter 4 is about those people that we need in our life,
Mm-hmm.
right? We need mentors. We need
Right.
coaches. We need friends. And then we got to be careful those toxic people, right? We need set
Yeah.
boundaries with them. And you said you had to get rid of a couple of them, but we
Yeah.
can't always get rid of them because sometimes we
Right.
work with them or they're family members. And if they're
Yeah.
family members, don't you love them, but maybe you just with boundaries with, or their exes. Oh
Mhm.
my gosh, you'd be shocked how many times people have to deal with their exes,
Oh my
right?
God.
Because
Right.
divorce has just, which breaks my heart, by the way.
Yeah.
I love people. And it breaks my heart that families are falling apart.
I
And it
know.
breaks my heart that so many people are getting divorced. But it takes 2 people to have a marriage. It does not take 2, by the way. Everybody thinks
Takes
that. It
3.
takes 3.
3.
So if they don't have God in the center of their marriage, I don't know how they're doing it nowadays.
Right.
I
Right.
am married to love my life. I will tell you that. But that man can be difficult at times, right? He's very hard-headed and I'm very strong-willed. So how
Yeah.
do you think that works, Debbie? Unless we
Yeah.
put God,
In
unless we
Yeah.
put God,
the center.
right? And I
Yeah.
have to decide, does God want me to be acting this way? Right.
Right.
And believe it or not, a lot of people don't realize I've been married before. So I haven't lived at home since I was 17. I got married at 18, had a baby by the time I was 19, and I was divorced. Well, I got married 2 weeks after I was 18, and I got divorced by the time I was 20. So I was married to an abusive alcoholic.
Oh
And
God.
I tell everybody I didn't know different till I was 20, right? I grew up, with alcohol, not that my mom was
Right.
an alcoholic or my dad, but their families, anyway, there was a lot of stuff, right? Dysfunction that until I was 20, could I own my own life and start realizing what maybe I wanted was different, right? And
Right.
then along the way, I met my husband, and that's why I have a 34-year-old and I've been married 29 years. But praise God, right? He's our kid, like our oldest is ours, because my husband's been around since he was 18 months. But the point is, in saying all that, right, you have to decide, when do you want to take ownership for your own life? When do you
Right.
want to create the life that you love, that you want? So I was 20 when I figured that out. So anyway, but not to make it a lot about me. But anyway, so chapter 4 is about those people, like I said, in your life. Chapter
Right.
5, nobody likes to hear about a budget. So I call it a pre-spending plan, because we're going to spend it. Are you
Right.
going to spend money today? I bet
Oh,
you
right.
will by the end of the week. By the way,
Oh.
if you tell me you're not spending any money, do you have your lights on?
Yeah.
Are you going to turn your TV on?
Oh
Or do you
yeah.
have a roof over your head, right? We got to pay for these lights. Do you know that?
Right.
So we're spending money all the time without realizing it,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
We're eating the food that we have in our house. We got to go buy more. We got our
Right.
lights. We got our gas. Our
Yeah.
water right now. Our water bill's going up.
Oh, I
I mean,
know.
I'm not trying to sound depressing, but when I mean this going up is I'm saying every time you use water, you're getting charged for it. Every
Right.
time you turn on the light, you're being charged for it. So,
Yeah.
but if you don't have a spending plan, right, then your money falls through your fingers because you don't have a plan.
Right.
And then chapter 6 is about, what is your most valuable resource, Debbie?
Okay.
What is your most valuable resource?
I think it would be the way I think, because that
Well,
kind of,
yeah, that's important. That's why we have chapter 1. But I say
Yeah.
time, right? We can always
Oh,
make more
fine.
money.
Yes.
We can always make more money. We also can find ways to make more money and save
Right.
time, but we can't get our time back. And in saying that, I want to thank everybody for their time today, right?
Wow.
The time that you're spending with me right now,
Uh-huh.
bad news, you can't get it back. You're hanging out with Sherry because that's what you're choosing to do. I don't know if that's good use. No, I'm just joking. But the point is, we can't get that back, right?
Right. Right.
So if we don't, people always say, oh, I want to do whatever. But if you don't time block, and if you see Pat over here, he's multitasking. He's working on a
Right.
job and he's listening to this, which is what I do a lot, right? Because then
Uh-huh.
you can save a little bit of your time. If I go for a walk, I listen to my podcast, but I don't always listen to a growth podcast. Sometimes I just walk and have it quiet and I do prayer time. Sometimes when I walk, I decide I want to listen to music, and people will see me jamming when I'm walking. I've even skipped when I'm walking, because what would you do when you're 6, right? You can make it more fun. And people will see me jamming in my car, and I'm jamming to worship music. But I know
Yeah.
people think, not that I don't listen to other music, because I do, right? But sometimes I just want to get my worship on. Come on now. So
Right.
what do you need when you go for a walk or you're working out? It's okay to not always, I mean, it sounds silly, but it's okay to not always be doing some kind of, growth. So
Right.
I am a personal development junkie. I definitely am. I have so many books on marriage, on parenting, on business, and I don't read for fun. I just don't. I'll watch a movie or something, but it's fun to me to discover how I can grow more. And of course, I use a lot of this resource for other people, but how can I become a better person? So
Right.
I call myself the personal development junkie. I am a continuous learner. I believe in that, but it's okay sometimes just to listen to music, right? And it
Right.
doesn't always have to be worship music just because that's what I do. But it's okay to, what do you need? So anyway, so that's how some of the ways I save time. But anyway, chapter 6 is on time. So my
Okay.
whole series is on that. And so I have a book, which is great. And I wrote it a year ago, but I've been training on this stuff for years, like I told you.
Right.
And so when I went to sit down and do my book, by the way, writing a book is hard. I'm not saying, but I put just, it's
I'm
called
right.
Here to There. It's called Here to There Revealed because it's the level of what I teach. Now, if you work with me and you got the book and you got the workshop sheets, you're going to go a lot further, right? So
Okay.
that's why I have an upcoming, I told you that, and I think I sent you a mastermind
You
that will
did.
be here
You
next
did.
month. So I try, most generally I do it. I run a mastermind once a quarter. So there's a mastermind running once a quarter. I offer free training like this. Through the pandemic, I was offering so much free training, it wasn't even funny. And people were watching me, Debbie. You gotta be careful. People watch you. And so people seen what I was doing, and I actually got nominated for the Kansas Business Women Advocate of the Year, which, did you even know that awards when they're calling
No.
and Governor Kelly gave me that award? But that's not why I did it. I told somebody on Zoom, I already know which one of my networking groups, I cried for 2 weeks. I told you that when the pandemic shut down.
Yeah.
And I told them that I'm going to go out and help as many people as I can. And when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. So I was doing free online training. I was having coffee with people. I don't even know. Like I said, during the pandemic, I don't even know how you weren't busy, because I was ridiculously busy, right? And so that's what I did. And then I won another award. I won Small Business Superstar, which from Kansas City Chamber, and now I won it again. And I'm not belittling, I won these awards, but it's not why I do what I do, right?
Right.
Do what we're supposed to be doing. Some people came up to me and they're like, how did you win these awards? And I go, I just did the next right thing. And then I go, I call them God winks. Okay. So if we're in our element, and we're doing, and by the way, I'm a professional speaker and trainer too, but I do this by natural, right? This is who I am. And so people will be like, oh my gosh, Sherry, you're so encouraging. You're so okay, but that's who I am, right? So if you find your sweet spot and you're good at what you do, which is why I talk about chapter 2, yes, you got to worry about your mindset, because everything doesn't always fall in place, right? Everything does not always fall in place, and it's work no matter what you're doing. But what if you did a job that you would do for free? Like, I sit down and have a cup of coffee with people all day long, and I solve their problems and I help them. And people are like, how do you know this? Well, I have almost 30 years of experience in what I do, but it's not about me, right? It's about the light that I can help and how I know, because like I told you, I put myself through college and I raised a kid on my own for 5 years, right?
Right.
Everybody's like, well, I didn't get child support. I'm like, what the heck's child support? I ain't seen no child support. Well, he never seen the kid. Matthew's dad has not been around at all. And by the way, most people call Matthew Pastor Matthew. I just call him Matthew because he's my son. But I'm trying to tell you, this amazing individual that I got to watch grow up, my ex-husband missed it all. Right?
Right.
But it worked out fine in the process of it. But I tell people, you think I know a little bit about time management, a little bit about, right? So all the things that have happened to me in my life has made me equipped to do what I'm doing. But everything that happens in your life makes you equipped to do. And again, I don't want to get real biblical here, but if you ever read your Bible, God does not use the perfect. He qualifies the imperfect, right? He calls the imperfect.
Yeah.
And so when people say I can't, I'm like, well, if it's your calling, it's your purpose, it's your mission, yes, you can. And so it's all about that mindset. And so today we're going to talk about seasons of our life. Do you know that we go through different seasons of our life? And sometimes it's hard to separate yourself from the emotional season that you're
Mhm.
going through, right?
Right.
And where you're at, right? Like I can tell you all these God moments when God got me through hard times. But when you're in them, it's hard sometimes to see it, right? But
It
if we
is.
can identify what season we are in, right? I had 3 teenagers at one time.
I
I
did
had a
too.
I had a teenager, I had a 13-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a newborn. So I had toddlers and teenagers. And by the way, they're the same thing if you don't know. One's God, one's not. They both think the world revolves around them, right? And not
Yep.
only did I have that, but that was when I dealt with 9/11 and I got ripped off on a house. And I'm not making it about me, but I'm saying I get it, right? And right now, you can call me somewhat of a sandwich generation. My children are starting to become adults, but from
Mhm.
17 to 25 are self-discovery years. I don't know if you know that.
Nope, I didn't realize that.
And I
Mine was
haven't lived at home since I was 17. My husband grew up on the street. So I tell my children, don't skip those. Dad and I didn't get those, right? And those
right.
years are so important. But I call it that they're taking their training wheels off and they're learning to ride the bike of life. And you guys have had kids. It's hard those years, by the way. It's hard for them, but it's hard for us as parents. And we're changing our hat, right? Because now
Right.
we're mentoring and we're coaching them, but we can't do for them. And we hope that they don't skin their knee or break their arm or end up in jail. You know what I mean? When they're riding this bike of life.
Right. Right.
And their brain does not, your brain does not develop till you're 25,
Wow. You're not
right?
really.
Go
I
read the
think
psychology. So that's why it's so hard. And you know that you know nothing when they're 17 to 20, which I'm joking. I got great kids, but right now I got 3 in that area, which is hard. And then I got aging parents. So all I'm trying to say is, do you see, you can call that, they call it when you have teenagers, but about that age, sandwich generation. That's a
Right.
lot to deal with. Oh, by the way, if you're in the aging generation, like my parents are, that's no fun. Their health's not good, right? But what I'm asking is what season? We had who was on here yesterday? Raising, anyway, I maybe it was last session I taught, but they had like young kids. So right now my grandson just turned 2. So my son thought the hardest age was when he was a newborn and he couldn't sleep. And I go, honey, it's okay. This phase will go and it'll be the next. Now he's acting like a 2-year-old. It's just difficult because they have no off button. And I'm like, because they're 2. Well, I hope by the time he's 3, and I'm like, yeah, no. 3, 2-year-olds, they call them terrible 2s, which I love 2-year-olds. 3-year-olds, I feel like is when they're really defiant because they know they can be. And they're
Right.
going to preschool and they know how to, like right now, my 2-year-old grandson says no. But when he says no, does it really even mean no? Not necessarily. He just knows he knows that word. And so sometimes it's out of content. Be like, do you want a piece of candy? They don't give him candy, but he'll be like, no. I'll be like, okay, you're not going to get up in your high chair and get a piece of cake for your birthday? No. And then later he's running to his high chair and you're like, but you said no, because he's trying to figure life out. But 3, I think. But anyway, each phase of life for kids is hard. Each phase of life for us, which we were kids, is hard. It's just a different form of hard. Remember, I even talked about how people will be like, oh, I wish I was married. And Debbie, how long you been married?
How long? 41?
Yeah.
41.
And Ruth's been married. She's muted, but she's been married a long time too. How long you been married, Ruth?
42 years.
Yeah, and I've been married almost 29. And the point is, people are like, oh, I wish I was. And I'm like,
I'm 50.
But does it get easier, guys? Does marriage get easier? No, it just goes to a different
No.
phase. It's a different phase of your marriage, right? Now, would you get married again? I'm sure you're going to say yes, and you love your spouse, but it's the same thing, right? But then when people are single or whatever, you're like, anyway, my point is sometimes we wish we had what other people And that's not, being single is hard. Being married is hard. Choose your hard. Being unhealthy is hard, but being healthy is hard.
Mhm.
Did you know that? Choose your
Yeah.
hard. So when we're looking at our seasonings, parenting is hard. And I have had some people I sit down with, and maybe they didn't do the best job of parenting. So now they're helping grandkids or something else. Well, you know what? You can't should all over yourself. You got to go
Right.
back. You got to apologize for whatever you didn't do wrong, right or wrong, which all of us parents have screwed up.
Mhm. Absolutely.
All of us have regrets. All of us wish. And all of us that are married are not perfect. And all of our relationships have been difficult at times. So all these things that when you look at other people's season, you need to look at the season that you're in and how's it emotionally affecting you. Because your health, like I said, that really will affect you. Now, when I was trying to get back my health, that's what I talk about in here with colon surgery. It took me a while. It wasn't, I thought, I'm Sherry Berger. I don't know if you know how Sherry Berger is. I just brush myself off. I shake it off and I move on. I've been through a lot. They told me it'd be a year till I could eat all this healthy stuff and I could do, and I didn't believe them. And every time I would eat like 2 raw carrots until it passed through my colon, I was in so much pain. And my point is, maybe you just need to stop, relax, listen, deal with that phase of your health, figure things out and move on, but not try to always push through the process, because sometimes we want to. And I have a question for you. What kind of friend are you to yourself? Remember we were talking about we need friends? How is your self-talk when you talk to yourself? If you talk to your friend the way that you talk to yourself, would you be friends with you? Right? So if you're not being a friend to yourself, if you're saying, wow, look at you, you just always screw up. You just ate another brownie when you're trying to lose weight. What the heck is wrong with you? Would you say that to your friend? Or would you instead say to your friend, man, you've been doing really, really good. I know you ate a brownie and maybe you regret that, but that's okay. Because you know what? Tomorrow's a new day. Or even this afternoon, let's just not eat any more brownies. Isn't that what you would say to your friend to encourage your friend if they were trying to lose weight? But when you think you should be perfect. You don't show the same grace to yourself as you will to other people. What if you started doing that? Positive things will let you do everything better than negative. Did you know that? Guess who said that? Zig Ziglar. Positive things will let you do everything better than negative. So if you get on yourself for not exercising or eating a brownie or overspending or whatever you do, yelling at your kids, whatever you did, how's that going to help? Now, not that you don't need to own what you did wrong, but you don't need to stay there, right? Because you know what? There's only one perfect person I ever knew that walked this earth, and it was Jesus. And last time I checked, you're not Jesus. So why are you trying to be him, right? You can't be responsible for how or why others act or treat you. Did you know that? You get to choose how you respond even when other people aren't being what you want them to be. So be careful not to take on too much weight or responsibility in your life. Us as women, we do that a lot. Now, guys can do it too. You're responsible and choose to create results by not by accident. Remember? That's why we want to make these habits and these goals. But do I expect you to do them perfectly? No. And Debbie, earlier you were saying mindset is one of our most valuable assets, because it is. It makes us feel good or bad. Is it making you feel good when you do whatever, or is it making you feel bad? Is it motivating you to move forward, or is it literally discouraging you and making you depressed? The way you're talking to yourself, or maybe the way other people are talking to you, where we need to set boundaries. You are unique and enough. Did you know that you're unique and you're enough because God says you are? So have faith in yourself. Do you realize thinking alone won't help you achieve big goals like being an NFL star or an astronaut? You need to swap positive thinking for positive action to achieve your goals, though, right? So we have to have positive thinking, but we need positive action. But positive thinking causes positive action. Negative thinking, what do you think that causes? It causes you just to be depressed and feel bad. But I can't hear you, Debbie, because you are muted. So if you want to say anything.
It causes you to be inactive.
Yeah. You're going to sit on the couch and eat 6 brownies and potato chips and drink a soda or whatever because you already screwed up. And that's just taking you further away. So if you take 3 steps forward and you take 1 back, okay, now let's go do 5 steps forward and take a half a step back. It's a small habits over time and the way that we talk to ourselves. So start listening to yourself. That's my challenge. That's your homework. Listen to what you say to yourself today. Just listen at first. Start noticing when and how you talk unkindly to yourself. We all do it, but it's noticing it. Have you ever heard of the stop it method? You just stop and you think, why did I just say that to myself? And then you can reframe it to be more true. Change the way you talk to yourself. When you catch yourself saying something unkind or not, stop yourself right away. Reprogram or reframe that, right? That's what we need to do. For example, if you're calling yourself stupid, try and say something like, no, you're smart and you'll figure it out. I am too stupid to figure out why my computer's acting up. Are you serious? No, I am smart and I'm going to figure it out. Now, some people say they're computer challenged or whatever they say. Okay, can we call resources? Figuring it out does not mean you have to always do it. Don't be a victim of negative self-talk. Remember, you are listening. Write that down. You're listening to what you say to yourself. Do you know who talks to you more than anybody in the world? You. Do you know who you spend the most time with in the world? You. And again, I don't want to get on my high horse like God or whatever, but if you test against scripture, you're wonderfully and uniquely made. And God, last time I checked, does not make junk. And he created you for a purpose. So when you're not talking nice to yourself, what do you think God thinks? What if somebody comes over and all they say is negative things about your kid all day long? You going to let them stay in your house? They're going to complain. Even if you have adult children, you're just going to let them complain about your children all day long. Well, when you complain about you, you're complaining about God's child. Do you want God to kick you out? Come on now. He doesn't appreciate it. So my kid's not perfect. Get over yourself is what God's thinking. My kid's not perfect. Get over it, right? Because sometimes he screws up or she screws up. Okay. But I don't want to hear about it. I'm going to tell you this one teacher. My daughter is a mini me. And so I may or may not have gotten in trouble for talking in class a lot. And I may or may not have giggled a lot. And I may or may not have been a lot of fun in school. So my daughter's all that. Are you shocked? And she's like in 5th grade. So you go to a parent-teacher conference. She's number 4 child. This teacher had my kids in a lot of the classes. She did not do the sandwich. She did not do a sandwich. Do you know what a sandwich is? Hey, Robin's so delightful and nice. And, you know, she just brings so much energy to the class. If Robin could work on not talking so much, I would love to see how much better she does in school because she's already doing pretty good. See how that's instead she goes, you know, all Robin does is talks and all she does is giggles in class and all she does. And that was my parent review. I mean, for my child. Do you think I wanted to slap that child? She's like, so if she could just be quiet and shut up in class, I don't think she quite said shut up, but I felt like she did. She could do so much better in class. I mean, her grades are okay. Okay, but you didn't sandwich it, lady, and you're a teacher. I'm in Toastmasters. We do not criticize. We give constructive criticism. I am a coach, and a lot of people on here have worked with me, and I will speak the truth in love. Will I not? And I tell you things you don't want to hear. I promise you, but I do it for love, but I do it in a sandwich form. I never come in and say, you just really suck at what you're doing and your business plan looks like crap. How do you think you're ever going to move your business forward? What the heck are you thinking? You know, I don't do it that way, right? I'll be like, man, those are some great ideas you have, because they are. And then I'll be like, hey, what if we tweak it a little bit this way? It'd be more, you know, it'd run a lot more effective and efficient. And I might say, hey, why are you doing this? So that we can figure out why, so that we can change what you're doing, maybe. And then I'm going to say, you know, you're phenomenal and you're doing so much more, right? Because then people will listen to you. But I couldn't believe it when that teacher did that to me. But how many times do we do that to ourselves? Right? Instead of saying we're getting better and better about. So change your self-talk and change your world. Write that
Sherry,
down. Yes, Debbie.
I met a lady that corrected me on my negative talk, and she told me to start saying up until now.
Well, that's
And
a good thing too.
yeah, and she
But what
said
if,
I say that, then I would go on and say what I'm going to do correct.
that's a good thing too. But what if we say, my health, I'm doing better with my health doing better every day with my health, right? You can say up to now, I didn't take care of my health, but then we're staying a little negative as far as I'm concerned. But if we say every day I'm doing better with my health, or we say tomorrow is a new day because we didn't eat right and we didn't exercise. By the way, I'm working on my losing weight, and I think you know, and so I was gone last week and I was at my son's house, and I ate a lot of salad and stuff like that. And then he was like, and then I would drink wine in the evening, and he goes, Mom, you're all worried about what you eat, but you're going to drink. And I'm like, I'm on vacation and I want a couple glasses of wine. So if I want to save my calories, right? Because you don't got to do it perfect. And by the way, I didn't drink the whole time. Makes it sound like that. And I'm Lutheran, so I can drink. Don't mess with me. So Lutherans and Catholics believe in drinking. No, I'm just joking, but I am. And he's a Lutheran pastor. And so he was like, and he was drinking beer in the evening. It wasn't like, but he was like, Mom, because I tried to eat what I could while I was there, but then you could only eat what is at their house, and they work a lot because they're pastors, and I'm playing with a toddler, and we had a birthday party, and so you can have all these excuses. So I went back to my friend and I went, man, I tried, and I actually lost a pound that week. What the heck? But anyway, I said, I tried, and da-da-da-da-da. And she goes, you're on vacation. Be nice to yourself, right? You were. I was on vacation. And I went for walks, but I didn't get to go for power walks. I went for toddler walks, okay? So I'm moving at a toddler pace. And by the way, the toddler, he loves to be out of his stroller, but he did things I forget to do on my walk. And you're like, what? He found a flower, and he was so excited that there was a flower. He found the leaves that you could crunch. Can you believe they're still dead leaves? But he would stop and he'd have to crunch on them before we could go forward. And he would walk. And then he found this dead sticks. But he didn't look at that they were dead sticks. He looked at there's something to explore. So he'd stop and get them. So it took forever to walk nowhere. And I wasn't, right? And so maybe I didn't exercise but I still got out and got fresh air. And by the way, I'm wondering how much exercise I got when we were inside and I had to chase them down the hall and chase them, right? But my point is, we got to show ourselves grace. And by the way, at that moment, what was more important? That I ate right and I exercised, or that I spent some time with my oldest son's family and my grandson, right? I mean, he's part of their family, but so we got to show ourselves grace. So I love the scripture. It's Ecclesiastes 3:1. To everything, there's a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. Do you remember when you had little kids? Because you guys all had little kids, and we would just be like, couldn't wait for them to grow up, or oh my gosh, they're 2, like my son's doing right now, right? And then now we go, if only they were 2 again. Not that I want little kids, but you get what I'm saying. It goes by so fast. And people that have aging parents will complain that it's so much work. But if you talk to the people that don't have parents anymore, they miss that. So why can't we just stop and smell those flowers and be okay with that season? And if we need to stop and play with sticks and look at the flower, or spend time with grandma, or, spend time with our grandkid and breathe. So how you talk to yourself in this season of your life matters. Your mindset matters. So be careful. Like I said, not to put too much responsibility on there, right? So if you remember, I think I had a brain and chapter this week, we're going to have brain dumps of those bad mindsets, but you can't figure out what you're telling yourself till you start stopping and listening. Do you know that your mind tells you stuff that you don't even know it's telling you? Do you know how many thoughts a day we get? We get so many thoughts a day, but every thought that we get is not, most of them are negative. Did you know that? We have to retrain to get positive thoughts. Huh? What'd you say? Oh, I thought somebody said something. We have to learn to retrain our brain. So we have a lot of those negative, and a lot of them were put in our brain when we were a child. And it's from our perspective of life. If you talk to a bunch of kids that were raised by the same parents, do you know they have different perspectives of their childhood? And you have them in your head. And teachers and different people have added or taken away, right? But it's so much easier to believe a bad thought than it is good. Did you know that? So there's 2 thoughts that I still deal with today. I have some form of dyslexia. I didn't learn how to read till 3rd grade. And a bunch of other stuff happened to me. And yet I could get any date I wanted in high school. Not really, but if I wanted a guy to date me and all this. But anyway, my ex-husband convinced me that I was ugly and dumb. But he didn't convince me of that. Those were in my brain, and he used them for his purpose, right? But I allowed that, if that makes sense. No, you shouldn't put up with abuse. No, you shouldn't. But until you start realizing what's going on, you can't change that and put up boundaries with other people even. So a lot of those things that we say to ourselves have been in our brain so long, some of them our whole life, right? So I have a game I play with Simon. My grandson's name's Simon, and the kids think I'm crazy, and they tried to play it, and I had to tell them they do it wrong, because since the day he was born, I say, Grandma says you're amazing. Grandma says you're the best. Grandma says you're cute. Grandma says you're smart, and Grandma loves you, and Simon loves Grandma. And now we sing that too, and we rock it. And Simon is 2, and he will jump up in my arms to play that game. So the kids, when he was a couple months old, were trying to play it, because I started it the day he was born almost. We've played this game and he knows it. But the kids said, Simon, you need to eat. Simon, you need to change your diaper. Simon, Grandma says you need to eat. No, Grandma doesn't say any of that. So he was about 2 months old. I had him sitting on my lap, and it's really hard to get these pastors and everybody at the table at the same time. I go, I am glad you guys are all at the table, because Simon and I need to tell you something. Like I said, Simon's like 8 weeks old. And I said, Simon and I need to let you know that you do not know how to play Grandma Says. So you might as well stop playing it, because you ain't doing it right. Grandma only says positive, good things, right? And so changing a diaper, Grandma does not say. Eating, if he says, no, I'm not, no, that's not how the game works, right? But what if you told yourself those type of stuff? Debbie, you're amazing. Ruth, you're amazing. You are beautiful. You are created in God's image, right? You are smart. But I know that Simon, people are going to say Simon says, so I just decided to make it Grandma says. And the kids think I'm crazy. And Simon gets grinned from ear to ear, and he put his little head here for me to rock him. And I can't sing. And by the way, both the kids can sing. They're pastors and they can sing. I know that's not normal, but it is. They both are phenomenal. And I can't sing. And Matthew wanted to, when I was a teenager, teach me how to sing, my oldest son, who's the pastor. And I said, no, God said to make a joyful noise. Now I can speak. I do public speaking, but I don't do singing. But I don't care when it comes to my grandbaby, right? So I sang this bad song that makes no sense, that's silly, that brings so much. But what if we did that to ourselves? We don't have to sing. We could say it. Now, if you think that right now your life is scary or unpredictable, which that happens, right? Change your wording. Instead of saying life right now is really scary and unpredictable, let's change it to life is easy, full of joy, and beautiful surprises. Now, life's not easy, remember, but we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us, right? So, yeah, life's not going to be easy. Marriage is not going to be easy. I don't know about you guys, but after you get married, marriage is not what you thought it was going to be. And a lot of people think you get married and the other person is going to make you happy. That is so not how it works, does it? I say don't get married or have kids if you want to be selfish, because life is not about you once you get married and once you have kids. It's about your spouse. It's about your kids. You have all these other responsibilities. But when you think you can't do it all, you can. Running your own business and being an entrepreneur is not easy. But working corporate America is not easy either. I had a pager and everything, and I worked for the big man, and that's not easy either, right? So you got to choose your easy here. But I will let you know that if you are an entrepreneur and you run your own business, I like to compare it a lot to marriage, but maybe it's not, but it is. We go, woo, and back up. We have all these great times when things are going great. And then we have the peaks and valleys. That's what I call them, right? Peaks and valleys. But then again, I say that happens in marriage. Does that not just happen in life if you're married or not? So would you rather do it with a partner or not? Or would you rather do it with your friends or not, right? And if you have the right people, it makes it a little bit easier. So take your positive list, because that's what we need to put together. That's what we're going to be doing, right? I want you to brain dump all that negative, but then I want you to take your positive list and guess what I want you to do with your negative list? Maybe not rip it up right away. Maybe you could put it in a shoebox and put it up high. But eventually we're going to rip it up. But we change it all into a positive, because what's going to be interesting with your negative is to watch. I can't believe I ever said that. And if you keep talking to you the way you talk to you when you talk negative, where do you think you'll be in 30 days? That's really going to motivate you. I don't know about you, but I mean, I have two kids. I have my oldest son and the younger one from two different generations. This generation, that these 20-year-olds that my kids are, those parents would get into sports like you wouldn't believe. And they run all over the place. And they want them to be the best. And they want them national honor. And I get that. But I've literally heard parents tell their kids that if they don't score, they're not going to have their slumber party. Or they're not going to get to do, right? Because they can get that competitive. Parents, right? Do you think that motivates the kid? Do you think it helps their self-esteem? So if you talk to yourself that way, is that motivating you? Is that helping your self-esteem? You thought that was awful when I just told you a parent talked to their kid that way, but yet you don't think it's awful if you talk to yourself that way? Oh, by the way, you are a kid. You're God's kid. Did you forget? So yeah, it's not okay. So when you say, oh my gosh, I can't believe that parent, because I couldn't believe it. And he was a big business guy. We don't need to talk about it. I just know that that child became a bully in the school because she was being bullied. So are you bullying yourself? Which I think sometimes bullying can get took way out of content, but it's the new thing, right? And we shouldn't do it. I'm saying that. But if you're bullying yourself, how's that working? Believe in yourself. Think big. You are stronger than you think. Did you hear me? You're stronger than you think you are. Never quit and be bold. We need to be careful of a thing called the autopilot syndrome. Have you heard of that? Do you know that you just brush your teeth and drink your coffee in the morning if you're like me, which right now I have protein shake. Shh, it's not really coffee, but it's my protein shake. But we drink our coffee in the morning without thinking. We brush our teeth without thinking, right? Do you brush your hair in the morning? These are all autopilot, but the state of our mind is on autopilot. Did you know that? So in my house, you were never allowed to say stupid, dummy, or shut up. So we would be at the grocery store and my little kids would say, so-and-so said the D word. So-and-so said the S word. It was stupid, shut up, or dummy. It was not cuss words. People thought that. So when I would drive, I'd get upset sometimes driving, but not really, because I'm not an aggressive driver. Usually I'm like, well, that person could be having a bad day. And kids even now say I drive the slowest and I have no speeding tickets and I'm not real aggressive driver. So I didn't like it when I lived in Atlanta, believe me, but Kansas I can handle. And I don't drive if we go somewhere else because it's just, oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me. So anyway, which is a lie because I've drove to Dallas and I've drove. So I was in the car one day and I was like, oh my gosh, that's just so stupid. What the heck? Why did you cut me off? What? And the kids are like, Mom, you just said the S word. And I went, I did it without even thinking. I don't want them to say stupid, dummy, shut up. And was I calling the driver stupid? Was I calling that move stupid? Was that necessary for me to act right? Until I got called out on it by my kid in the back seat. So where's the people in your back seat going to call you out on when you talk bad about you? But I always felt like those are belittling words. So why do we need to tell somebody shut up, dumb, or stupid? Why do you need to say that to people? Now, my kids, I would tell them, be quiet. And then when they became teenagers, there was a couple times when I would say, if you don't just shut up, and they would look at me because we weren't allowed to say that word. Right? But it got their attention. But it is belittling. Isn't it much nicer if you say, can you just be quiet? Let's do quiet time now, kids, versus shut up. You're really stupid and you're dumb. Right? That doesn't work. So why do you say that to yourself? Maybe you can say, wow, we need to redirect right now, Sherry. Do you know it's okay to talk to yourself? Especially if you're in business for yourself, you definitely can, because you can just call it a meeting. Come on. It's a committee meeting, right? Talk to me, myself, and I. But no, self-talk always is happening. So look at your self-talk this today. But one thing to think about is, what are your negotiables or your adaptables? Do you know what those are? How do you be a better version of yourself? How do you feel better, right? We talked about this a little bit yesterday, that we need to build ourselves up. Do you know that I'm a better version of myself if I've had my coffee? But, I've been without coffee and I've been okay. Because like when you get sick, you can't drink coffee, you'll drink tea. Can you mute yourself, Ruth? Because I think we're getting feedback. And unmute if you need to talk, but yes. And the time of day can vary. But, if I review my schedule in the morning, that's an autopilot I do, right? I review it before I leave my office at night. and I review it in the morning and I drink my coffee. But if I do my Bible study and I start off my day meditating and doing Bible study, do you know I get a better day? So some of these are non-negotiables. And if you go to church on Sunday, that would be a non-negotiable, right? Well, we need to think about, what do we need to do? Because these habits are our daily habits that we just do without thinking. But some of them are not good habits. How much TV do you watch a day? Do you drink your coffee and turn on the TV to watch negative news? Right? Because you could just do that by autopilot. Do you watch the news in the afternoon? And I'm not saying don't watch the news, but is it getting you where you want to be? So look at your habits and determine what are essential and what are more flexible. If they have a purpose in what you're doing, did you hear me? Have a purpose that will take you to where you want to be. But how many of those things are we doing? I don't know, even like, K-Love, which I listen to a lot, the Christian radio here, says do a 30-day challenge. Only listen to K-Love for 30 days and see how it changes your life, because it's garbage in, garbage out. So if you start watching or listening to more productive things. So most mornings I do my devotion. I pray before I even get out of bed, though. What do you want to call it? And then I will listen to motivational speakers, right, that believe and think like me. And I do that when I go for my walk. And so I spend my time, right, with those kind of things. But even the people that we hang out with matter, right? So what are you doing that's autopilot that you don't even think about? So if you start writing down your daily habits in the day, what do you do first thing in the morning? What do you do mid-afternoon? And what are you doing in the evening? Because it affects your mindset. I mean, some of that's going to be time blocking, right? But some of that is just, if I'd stop listening to country music, not that I'm a country music hater, I'm just using this as an analogy. If I stopped listening to country music about when their dog died and they divorced 6 people and they whatever, right? Last year, I had a really bad year. My mom almost died, and I put down 3 dogs in 8 months, and I don't even know what all happened to me. And I told somebody, man, my life's almost like a country song. And they go, no, because you haven't got divorced yet. I was like, oh, that's true. So I didn't get divorced. My kids didn't all, but my 2 kids moved away. A lot of stuff happened, right? And I was being funny. But if you listen to that all day long, right? How's that affect you? So even the music that we listen to can affect us. So just start looking into those things. And each person needs different things. I'm not telling you what to do, but to start thinking about. Only you can decide which season you are and what your priorities are. Only you get to decide. Because this is your life. And identifying your boundaries in life situation and clarifying your purpose, clarifying that purpose of what you're trying to accomplish. Ruth is trying to she's not trying, she's going to run a marathon every month, because I know how Ruth is. She's going to do it. But if she doesn't stay focused and have her clearer goal, right, she's not going to accomplish it. So what she chooses to do. Now, if you went to McDonald's one day and you buy something, and you're like, ugh, now I feel like crap, right? You know what we did at the airport coming back home? We went to Maryland. So we had to spring forward, because you lose an hour when you go up to East Coast. And then the next day was spring forward. So we sprang forward. Talk about a good way to start off being tired with a toddler that has no off button. And he would wake up at 6:37, and grandma gets up the minute she hears him. And then I stayed up with the kids in the evening too. So, and they're not kids, but they're my kids. So anyway, when we got back, we were going to fall back. So we had an extra hour. Okay. So we had to transfer from Maryland, St. Louis to here, but our clock didn't catch up. So I really thought we'll just go do a sit down restaurant, because we caught the plane like at 6 a.m. And so I thought I could eat real food. But then we realized, oh, we only have an hour and we got to get on a plane. So we went and ate Dunkin' Donuts. And I was going to get what are those called? What are the egg white bites or whatever? But I decided just get a turkey, sausage, egg, cheese. But when I ate it, I felt so sick afterwards, right? Because I don't eat that way. But do I need to get on myself because I made oh, and guess what happened after we ordered our food and we got our food? Our clock went back. And then we realized we had 2-hour wait, like we thought we had all along, but it hadn't caught up and we weren't awake enough. Come on now. We been up since 4:30 in the morning. And so we didn't think like that, even though we knew, because that's what we were confused when we looked at our clock. But anyway, so we made different choices than what we really wanted to make. And so you could beat yourself up on that. And that's going to happen in life. But I still lost a pound, right? I told you that last week. Come on. So it's all about, right? Those little choices in life. So this is a prime key to growth and success. Do not chase squirrels, which means excuses, right? Just don't go chase, have a purpose and a plan of what you're trying to do. And know when and how to adapt your life, right? Do you know, I like this saying too. I am not a product of my circumstances. I'm a product of my decisions. Stephen Covey. I'm not a product of my circumstances. I'm a product of my decisions. Stephen Covey. But we could change that a little bit. It wouldn't be Stephen Covey if I said, not a product of my circumstances. I'm a product of my mindset. What about that? What if we put decisions in parentheses? We put mindset. Do you know that mindset makes your decisions? You make choices based on mindset. I was exhausted, been up since 4:30. I was hungry and I thought I only had an hour. So I made a bad decision of going to Dunkin' Donuts. If you want to eat Dunkin' Donut food, that's fine. That's not what I wanted, right? I just wanted some scrambled eggs so I get some protein and some fruit. That's what I wanted. But I didn't think I had time. It's because my mindset and my decision and all that was in hunger. Being hungry, you make whatever decisions, don't you? So anyway, this is what we need to go through and do. And I want to talk about your mindset, right? There's two kinds of mindset. Do you know there's a growth mindset and a fixed mindset? Do you know that our fixed mindset is what we believed from like our childhood or growing up, or it's right? We have a fixed mindset. We can say, I don't know how to do that. Okay, one of the fixed mindset that people had through the pandemic was, I don't know how to do Zoom. That's too hard. Nobody wanted to do this kind of stuff. Look at us on here being pros now, right? But when we first had to do it, was it overwhelming or had you already been doing it? Some people are like, technology is too hard. Really? Or can you figure it out? I told you Toastmasters International, we had a contest coming up the month of March. Easter, it was during Lent. I'm Lutheran, which is similar to Catholic. We have church every Wednesday. Like tonight, we have church. Lent's a huge deal to us. In the middle of Lent, the world shut down. My son is a pastor. He's married to a pastor, right? What are you going to say? It's too hard? Or did we have to wait till something really like that happens to change? When I almost died 5 years ago, I told you this, in August, it'll be 5 years, which is so sad. Every time my son's anniversary comes up, I'm like, oh my gosh. But I asked people to meet me on Zoom, and not all my clients would adapt. They didn't want to pivot. But now, how many years later did they pivot? Because they had to. But their mindset, they wouldn't get over that mindset of this is weird, this is different. So that's a fixed mindset. I can only stay in this box because it's the only box I've ever been in. I can only drink out of this cup and my coffee's going to taste good. because it's the coffee cup I always use. That's not even true. A growth mindset is, boy, it'll be interesting to try a different coffee cup. Wow, I should maybe sign up for Toastmasters and maybe I can learn how to do Zoom or public speaking, or what are those obstacles that you're saying you can't do? What are those things that you say, I've never done that, I can't do that? Who here loves to public speak? How come I'm the only one raising my hand? Do you know I used to hate public speaking? 17, 18-year-old years ago, I just did a big conference down in St. Louis and people were like, see me up on the stage and they're like, you own the stage. Yeah, I practiced, I got up there. I've been public speaking for 17 years. But 17 years ago, do you think I own the stage? Heck no. This is how I gave my first speech. And by the way, I can talk fast and loud. Have you figured that out about me? So I talked very loud, very fast, and I got like a 5 to 7 minute speech done. Actually, I think it was a 4-minute speech in 2 minutes. But anyway, I got it done and I went and sat down. I did not want to be up there. Because back what happened to me when I was 10 made me fear of public speaking. But I could have stayed there. But something happened and I decided to jump out of the plane. So every month I was giving a speech when I joined Toastmasters. And somebody looks at me and they're like, what the heck? How do you do that? And I go, if I don't keep jumping out of the plane, I'm not going to do it. I never wanted to get up there and give a speech. So every 4 weeks I did it. Sometimes with notes, sometimes not. And that's what I did. So what is that thing that you think you can't do because you got this fixed mindset? Do you know what a growth mindset is? Do you guys know the difference between the two? Our childhood mindset can affect the way we think about everything. For example, a growth mindset helps you recover from illness. Did you know that? Because you believe that you can do it. A growth mindset can help you believe in sports, work, personal life, relationships. The fixed mindset is when people believe they're qualified or fixed traits and can't be changed. They document their intelligence and their talent rather than developing and improving them. But you didn't do that when you were 2. You didn't do that when you were 5. Do you act like the same 5-year-old self that you were? So why do we do it as adults? I've never ran a marathon, so I can't do that. I really just don't want to do it. But I can. I've heard people tell Ruth, man, you inspire me. You're running a marathon. You know what Ruth should say? Everybody can run a marathon. Do you guys want to public speak and get on a big stage and speak in front of 200 people? I can show you how. Is that what you want to do? Right? You can do it. Do you want to, though? First, you got to ask, do you want to? But then you got to ask, do I want to, but I think I can't. So everything starts with mindset, right? Okay. What were you told as a childhood, or what was your childhood, mindset? I think I told you I was told I have some form of dyslexia when I was in 3rd grade. So I never thought I could go to college, yet I'm the first college graduate because I had to get over that mindset, right? I wrote a book and I have a form of dyslexia. Literally, it's right here. But you know what I asked myself when I wrote my book? Who am I? I'm not that smart. Writing a book is hard. Do you know I said that? Then I went to this big conference. I wrote that down. I broke a board and I wrote my book. And this book that I wrote has made such an impact and helped so many people. So what if I didn't write the book? How many people would not get to read it or get help? And I knew I needed to make a bigger impact and do more. And then now everybody always likes to ask me, who's buying your book? You know what? The right people need the information that I have. So what's holding you back? Debbie, you just started being a health coach. And how many people need to hear your message? They don't want to be sold to, but they need to be educated. Ruth, how many people out there can you touch lives because you're going to help them get their financial house in order? What did you say? 78% of people are living paycheck to paycheck? Do you know that my husband and I back in 2010 paid out $42,000 worth of debt in 24 months? Wow. Do you know what that did to my marriage? It took it to the next level. Do you know how much stress that was on my marriage? Right? So if you don't have your finances in order, what's your reasoning? If you don't have your health in order, what is it? And there's people out there to help you. And oh my gosh, Pat, he's a general contractor. I don't know about you. I think Ruth said that, and Debbie lives in Kansas. We have a shortage of them. We need you to come and help us. We have to live in these houses. We need them fixed. You can't have houses that are falling down. Well, I guess you can. Some people do. We can drive by neighborhoods that do. But your neighbors aren't going to like it. You don't like it. How does it make you feel when your house is falling down? So if you say you're scared, what's your why? And who are you not helping because you're scared to do? Do you know that I learned I had to do public speaking because I'm an extrovert on steroids, in case you haven't noticed, and I got a message. And if I don't get out there and say it and tell people, how am I going to make a bigger impact? My message is not about me. It's about the audience. It's about other people. Your message, you don't have to get on the stage, but your message and what you do in your business is for others. So stop being selfish. Get out of your own way. Change your mindset. I know I'm being mean, but not really, because God put you here for a purpose. And so reflect on, what are you saying to yourself? We let fear get in the way of our success. Did you know that? Write that down. Did you know that faith and fear cannot live in the same place? Faith and fear. So are you living in faith or are you living in fear? You're meant to be the hero of your own story. Did you know that? You're writing your own story and you're the hero of it. If I never got over the fear of public speaking, if I never got over the fear of writing a book, and by the way, you know what I did to write my book? I came back and I go, what's holding me back? I realized I needed editors and I needed all these. Okay, so I pulled all my resources. So what resources do you need? You don't have to do it all, right? But if you need help finding clarity and putting together who your ideal target market is, all that kind of stuff, right? Get a coach. Oh, by the way, I'm a coach. I could help you, but you could get another coach. But I could help you, right, with clarity and all that stuff. If you need help with finances, call Ruth. If you're sick of your house falling down, call Pat. And if you're sick of being sick, talk to Debbie, right? These people are here to help you and support you, but you got to put your team together. So I went home, I put a team together. That's how I wrote my book. And so, but you got to decide what's holding you back. I have a question for you. Do your thoughts control you, or do you control your thoughts? Which one? And another question. Do you think that God's given you those negative thoughts? Or is it maybe somebody else? Who do you think that might be? So you mean you're letting Satan win? Because in the end, Satan does not win, girls. I've read the Bible. I know the ending. God's going to win. And God doesn't make junk. So Satan loves to use those stupid lies against you. He likes to tell you, eat that apple. You'll be smart. You'll whatever, right? But why are you letting him win? With your thoughts. Every thought you think is not true. Did you realize that? You need to test your thoughts. Negative thoughts are learnt over time. And they stay with us. That's why we have self-doubt. We let fear get in the way of our success. And whether it's faith is a higher power or believing in yourself, I dedicated my book that I wrote to Gerald Harris. He's my second dad, my mentor. He was the first person that believed in me. He believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself. What if you need to get that kind of person? God believed in me. I needed to believe in me, but I couldn't see that, right? So I needed a mentor and a coach that believed in you. And because he believed in me, he was the one person that believed in me. When I thought I was too stupid to go to college, but I needed to do something, I went through a divorce. I had no GED, no driver's license. I had nothing. And don't worry, I didn't have any money because my ex-husband drank it all. And I had bills that he ran up. And I'm 20. And I got an 18-month-old. But I had to do for him. But I didn't think I was smart enough. I didn't think I was good enough. And so I would give Gerald all these excuses. And you know what Gerald would say to me? Do you want to or you don't? Write that down. Do you want to or you don't? And I'd be like, no, Gerald, you're not listening to me. You're not hearing. I'm not that smart. I got my GED. I got my driver's license. I wanted to go to college. I had family members tell me, Sherry, you're going to get hurt. You are not that good at school. You can't do this. Take continuing ed. I don't want you to get. But my sister was going to school and I wanted to go. So I went and took the entry exam right here at JUCO, our community college. I take fundamentals of reading and math and learning strategies. I started at the very dirt bottom, guys. And I went to Gerald, said, see, I'm not that smart. Do you know what Gerald said to me? Do you want to or you don't? What? Guess what? I took those classes. I got straight A's. Never seen them before in my life. I tried to go back and tell my family members. They told me they were sick of me talking about it. I cried. All you want is your family to be proud of you. Put my son in the car. I drove to my apartment. I decided, who are you doing this for? To prove them wrong? Or are you doing it for you and Matthew? So I had to change my mindset. And I had to start taking these classes. But I still always had Gerald that believed in me, right? And he'd say, do you want to or you don't? Every time I told him it's too hard. And by the way, getting a degree is hard. And I didn't. And then I graduated JUCO. I didn't know that our junior college year. And I wasn't sure I could go on to bigger. I wanted to get my bachelor's degree. So I got grants. I got scholarships. And guess what? Gerald paid the remaining balance for my first year at Park University. And I said, you can't do that because I'm very self-efficient. He goes, oh, yes, I can. And now you have to finish your degree. Are you serious? He bought me a camera when I graduated JUCO too, though. But he also paid for that. And he told me I had to. And it took me 5 years to get my 4-year degree. 5 years, not 4. I think it was 5.5 to be real. I graduated in December. But does it matter how long? Oh, by the way, driver's test, I think, took me 2 times. GED, I think, took me 2 times to pass. I don't know. But does it matter how long it takes you? It matters you keep picking yourself up and you do it. So I have a bachelor's degree now from Park University. Don't worry, I got the big ass job. I was a programmer analyst in the 90s when women weren't doing that. And then I was a system analyst for Sprint, right? Because I had to go take care of a kid. And if you're going to be a single parent, you got to have the big ass job. I met my husband along the way and stuff. But if we could be, if you can find that one person to believe in you, what can you do? Now, you should be that one person. But sometimes life's hard. And because I went through all of that, that's a lot of why I do what I do, right? Because I know if I can go be that one person to help you, support you, I'm here. But stop being mean to yourself. Stop not being a good friend. Just stop it. But the only way we can stop it is to notice. So my challenge and then tomorrow we're going to meet, but my challenge today is for you, your homework. I don't know if you downloaded those worksheets but that's what we're going through. We're going through the worksheets off my website, which Ruth, I know you have my book, and I know that Pat has them, and Debbie told me she has them in her 3-ring binder. But we're gonna start. And even if you've done this, I'm gonna let you know something. Mindset is not a one and done. Did you hear me? Mindset is an ongoing process. I freaked out a year ago. I wrote this book a year ago. I told myself I couldn't do it. You know what I had changed my mindset to? I said, who am I to write a book? It's hard to write a book. I have some form of delay. What the heck do I think I am? And I said, I had to change that. I had to say, wait a minute. I have done so many other things. I got a degree. I help people all day long. I write stuff all the time. I've done so much. Who am I not to write a book? And what impact am I not doing for others when I don't do that? So who are you not to be the best you? So go pay attention to your mindset. I will see everybody at 11 o'clock tomorrow. I want to thank everybody for coming today. And we'll do it over lunch hour. And mindset is hard. It is. It's a lot. It is. It's a lot. And breathe. And it's not like I said, it's not a one and done. But if you don't start realizing what you're doing, then we can't change it. Just change your mindset and watch it change your life. All right, guys. See you tomorrow.